Hello and welcome back to Here We Tow. In winter, we always talk about winterising our caravans before we put them away. What we don't always talk about is de-winterising, and I appreciate many of you, like us, have probably used your caravan all through winter. However, it's important that we all start the season safe, clean and ready to go. So today I'm just going to go through a few tips that might help you get your caravan ready for the spring so we're de-winterised and we're ready to go. First of all, have a look at your caravan in the storage yard or on the drive before you even set off. Check it over for any scratches or marks or dints. Check that the windows are all intact, that no damage has happened over winter. What we're going to do first of all, before we do anything, is we're going to clean the caravan, because we can see a lot more when it's nice and clean. And if it's anything like ours, it's probably picked up a bit of green, a bit of black and a bit of who knows what else. So we're going to clean the caravan. Now, it may depend whichever products you use, and we've tried a few. It's a good idea to try and get an all-in-one product that obviously washes and polishes, because that's going to save you money and it's also going to save you carrying around a number of products. So what we're going to do when we wash? Well, when we start washing, we always start on the front. But what we want to be careful of is not scratching the windows with the same brush or cloth that you might use for the body. So just be mindful of that. It's also worth mentioning, under your windows here, you can often get black streaks because when it rains, the water has a tendency to run down. So I always make sure I use the black streak remover just under here. And we'll also be using that on the back, and I'll talk about that when we get round there. So as you're doing your wash, you're going to be doing all the sides of your caravan, and this is when you can then be checking in the windows and places like that, and the undersides as well. Again, your vents, be careful with your fridge and freezer vents. You don't want to be getting water in there. Don't start putting your hose pipes into there. It's also a good idea not to use a high pressure jet wash on your caravans. I wouldn't recommend you use one at all, but don't certainly use it on high pressure because you can cause damage. Now, as you're washing the back, now this is where we really need to start thinking about those black streaks. And the products we use, I'm going to put a link in the description below, but that you simply spray on, leave it for a few minutes, and then you wash it off as normal. And that will hopefully remove them. Sometimes they can be a little bit difficult to remove if they've been there a long time, and they may need a couple of extra goes. So that's it. We've washed the caravan. Now, if you wish to give it an extra polish, we've previously used turtle wax, which is excellent. It's an easy to use spray, but there's plenty of other products that you can use, including auto glim and other things like that. So choose whichever you want, but make sure that it's suitable to be used on the caravans and the surfaces that it's made from. The next thing I'd have a think about are your locks. Now, obviously your caravan's outside all year round. We need to make sure that these locks are kept in tip-top form. I would recommend graphite powder, and you can get that at most DIY shops, and that is excellent for locks as opposed to WD-40, which I wouldn't recommend. All these cassette boxes, go round them. We've got a silicone spray. Simply spray the silicone spray, wipe it with a cloth, and that's going to keep them lubricated and give them lots more years of use. The rubber seal on your toilet cassette, you can also lubricate that with a silicone spray, and it only costs, I think, about £5 from a DIY store, so it's worth buying some. The next thing, if you take nothing else from this vlog, is this. It's the tyre and wheel safety. Before you set off from the storage yard or home, please make sure you do these checks, and really you should be doing them every time before we all tow. First of all, we need to have a look at the tyre. Now, we're going to check the exterior wall for any bulges or cracks, and we're going to check the tread. You need to make sure that you've got good tread on the tyre. From this side, if you get down onto the floor, you can also look across to the opposite side and check that inner wall, because things can become lodged in that inner tyre wall that you can't see from this side. So check them. You can put your hand round and rub it round, but I don't always suggest that. If there's anything sharp, you might cut yourself. So if you're going to do that, pat it, don't rub it. Some of you may know that tyres on caravans have a certain shelf life, and that's 5 years. Now, it's important to know it's 5 years from manufacture, not 5 years from when you buy your caravan. And I'm going to show you where to find that now. If you look on your tyre wall, you will see a box, and in that box it's going to have 4 numbers. Now our numbers on here are 3016. So what does that mean? Well, it means our tyre was manufactured in the 30th week of 2016. So the 16 is the year and the number before it is the week of that year. So 3016, the 30th week of 2016. As you'll know, our Caravan was actually new in 2018. So that tyre was already 2 years old when it went onto our Caravan. That's quite normal for manufacturers. They'll buy a massive bulk of tyres in because they get a better price, and then they'll send them out as they use them. So our tyres will actually need replacing a lot sooner than we may have thought. So it's worth checking that to make sure you're within that 5-year time. And why is that important? Because caravans stand still a lot of the time, and like your car or van tyres that are always moving on a road, these do a lot less. So all that weight in one place means that they can fail a lot sooner. So we've checked the tyre, we've checked the date, we know that's all good. We need to check the tyre pressure. Now we have a 12-volt machine that we plug into our car and we simply inflate it like that. You can use a foot pump or whatever else you choose to purchase. Check your tyre pressures. Now where are you going to find your tyre pressure? Ours is here above the tyre at 4.5 bar, and it's also on our weight plate. So make sure you inflate your tyre to the correct level. The next thing is torque. Check your wheel nuts, check the torque setting. You can buy a torque wrench. Again, we'll put a link below to the one we use, which is calibrated and works. You need to make sure that you buy the best equipment you can afford. Your torque settings you will also find on your weight plate or in the manual for your Caravan. Thankfully, all ours is on the weight plate, so it makes it a lot easier. Once you've torqued up your wheel, you know that your wheels and your tyres are good to go. So what do we need to do next? The next thing I suggest we do is head back around the Caravan. Because before you want to set off, we need to make sure all our lights are working. So, reverse your tow car up to the front of the Caravan, plug in your 13-pin electric and check the lights. Obviously, if you haven't got anyone with you, you'll have to do it yourself. But if not, make sure that everything works. Make sure the indicators are working, your brake lights, your running lights, your reversing light. Check it's all in order. Equally, at the side of your Caravan, you may well have marker lights like we do up here and also at the front of the Caravan. Check that everything works, because if that bulb is fitted, it needs to work. We need to be safe. So get all that done, and those are some of the exterior checks. Now once that's done, you're good to hitch up and head to site, because the next few things we're going to do, we either need to be at home on a driveway with access to water and power, or we need to be on the site. So let's head off to the site and do these last few checks. Now before you set off, it's important to check your battery, your leisure battery. Now you can check that on most Caravans. In the Caravan itself, you should have a voltmeter. So if you turn on that switch, it should show you approximately where you're at. Now your Caravan should be running at around 13 volts off the battery. If it comes down below 11, you've got a problem. And if it's completely discharged, you're going to need a new battery altogether. Obviously, over winter, your battery level may have dropped if you've got things that draw power from it. And hopefully when you hook up and tow for the first time, it'll put a bit of charge back in. And when you arrive on site, you'll have your electric hookup. If not, you may be using solar panels and things like that. Check that your battery's still secured in there, and if you notice any funny smells like a noxious chemical smell, that battery could well be leaking. It's important at that point to make sure that you dispose of and change that battery. So we've arrived on site and we want to make sure that our water is clean and sterile. We personally don't drink the water from the Caravan, but we do brush our teeth with it. Otherwise we buy bottled water. We also do shower with it, so it's important that there's no bacteria in our water system. The product that I've used since we started caravanning is PuriClean, and again that's probably around £6 from a caravan accessory shop, or I have found it a lot cheaper on Amazon, so it could be a good place to look for it. So PuriClean. So what do we do with it? Well, fill up your water carrier. Ours is the water hog, but there's obviously the aqua roll as well. Fill it to the top, bring it to your caravan. Now put your water pump into there as well, because this is going to also purify all the pipes in the caravan. Now follow the instructions on the PuriClean to make sure you use the right amount of dosage. Put it in, fill it with the water and connect it up. Turn the system on so the hot water tank fills and all your pipes fill. Don't run the water. Now ideally, I like to leave this overnight for 12 hours, which I know can be difficult if you're a family and you need to use the water, but it's important to make sure that PuriClean works to kill all the bacteria in your system. Hopefully you can leave it for the 12 hours. The next morning, that's when you can then empty it out. So what you're best doing is run your taps for a little bit just to bring it through the system, and then empty out. Turn off your water, empty this out, back down the actual water waste disposal on site. You can let some go into your waste master as well, because your waste master could probably do with a bit of a clean. You can either put some of this in there to let it soak as well overnight, or you can run some off from the system like this so you're not using more of this product. You need to then make sure you've emptied the water out of your hot water tank as well, and then fill up your water carrier with fresh water and run that through the system again just to clean it out. You may notice a slight smell for the first couple of flushes through, but it's not harmful, it's just doing its job, so don't worry, but do give it a flush through. It's worth noting, if you have a water filter on your caravan, which we don't, but if you do, once you've PuriCleaned your system, it is advisable at that point to change the filter on your caravan system. So definitely don't do it before, but do it afterwards, because otherwise that filter could well be holding this. So it's worthwhile to change your filter at that point. So that's the onboard water system, and that's what I recommend doing, and it is very important. The next thing, we've talked about the onboard water system. Let's have a quick mention about the toilet cassette. So we'll venture back. Now our toilet cassette is on this point. Now I won't get it out because that's pretty disgusting, but they do get mucky. Even when you're swilling them out at the service point, they don't always clean up properly. And if you caravan a lot in a hard water area, you can end up with lime scale in there. If you wonder what that coating is in the bottom, it could well be lime scale. So what I suggest you do is you use a product that's specific for cleaning the cassette tanks. So this is the one that we use, and it gives 2 doses in this bottle, so it'll last this year, and then at the end of the year I can clean it again, or I can use it for next spring. And this does descale as well, so use a product that will basically give it a good clean out. Follow the instructions on whichever product you buy, because they're all different about how long you need to leave it in, so follow the instructions on your product. It's also worth mentioning, now we have an external toilet flush filler. You might not, it might just be off your onboard water tank. If you do have this system, I know some people say they get black bits in their tanks that come through. There's a couple of reasons why this could be caused. It could also be that you're using too much of the pink flush, because sometimes if you use too much pink, it can actually lead to that growth of whatever that stuff is. It looks like sludge. If you have a Thetford toilet, which you probably will, they do recommend that you can actually put a very small amount of bleach into here, fill it with water, and that should kill off the black sludge. I advise you go onto the Thetford website and read the specific instructions about the amounts, because bleach can be very harmful on the caravan system itself, and also if you're disposing of it on site. So read the Thetford advice, but you can use a very small amount of bleach in that circumstance. So those are some of the external things. The only thing I'd mention is obviously check your gas level as well, because the last thing you want to do is head off and find you've no gas. So we'll just venture around now to our awning and just have a quick chat about that. So on your first trip out, you're probably going to want to use the awning. So get it up, have a look around it, check it for any damage, any tears, scratches, because things can happen to it while you've stored it over winter. Just make sure it's all serviceable. This is a brand new awning. However, we have before done a vlog about how to clean your awning and re-proof it. So if you want to have a look at that, we'll put a link up here. So if you click on that, it will take you to that awning care vlog that we've done before. So your awning's up, you've checked it, it's all good to go. Brilliant. What we'll do now is we'll go inside and I'll just go through 2 things inside that I think are important that we check again as we go into spring. As we come in, the first thing to say is it's really important to check your carbon monoxide detector and your fire alarm as well. Make sure you test those. If the batteries need changing, get it done. Right, on to the next bit. Now this tip isn't so much of a seasonal starter, it's more of a whole season. We've recently started using a different washing up liquid because what we found was we had quite a bad smell coming up the wastewater tank. Although we empty it regularly, it does build up with grease and that water can then start to smell, and it was coming back up through our pipes and it was pretty disgusting, to be absolutely honest. However, what we've been using is Addition Treat, and yes, it's more expensive than washing up liquid, but we do all our washing up in the caravan. And what that does is it actually, as it goes down the pipes, it treats the pipes and it treats the wastewater. So it helps to eradicate that vile smell. And it also has a water softener in it. So if you tour again in hard water areas, which we seem to do a lot down here on the sort of south of the country, it means it does actually bubble up nicely and it can help to descale. It also is septic tank safe, which is a good thing because sometimes not all of the washing up products are that I've used, and I've realised that as I've gone on. So yeah, I'll put a link to that one below. As I say, it's just something you might want to use as something different to give you a bit of a fresher smell when you're touring, especially in summer, because when that sun hits your wastewater, the last thing you want is stinky water. It's disgusting. So that's really all I'm going to cover inside. There's loads of other tips and I'm sure you've got them all about obviously checking your fridge, giving that a wipe down, checking the toilet system, all these little bits. So what we'll do is we'll just head out and have a quick summary out there. So there we are, that's how to de-winterise your caravan. I'm sure many of you have got other things that you do. Please do add them in the comments below so other people can see them, because it's all about helping each other. I really hope that we all have a great touring season for 2020. I appreciate there's a lot of uncertainty right now about what's happening, but the main thing is that we all stay safe, we enjoy our towing and we enjoy our touring. So, as always, thanks for watching and see you in the next one.